All right, we are live back on Steel City with your host Andre Duke. That is me. If you're checking out this show for the first time, please hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow the channel as a whole. We do the college football show normally around this time, but everybody is pretty busy today. I got the Steel City thing going tonight. I haven't had a Steel City in a while. One of the things that we could talk about is what the Steelers did in the NFL draft. That is something that I would like to talk about today. Real excited for the Caleb Johnson pick. Derek Harmon being the first pick in the draft for the Steelers. Really exciting to see. I think the Steelers did a really good thing by building for the future. It was pretty even. The addition of Will Howard, I think the Will Howard pickup is very interesting. Got to see where the Aaron Rodgers stuff where that is going to play out. My man Joe Long, what's up, Joe? So we got some of those things going forward. But I think the three big additions going forward that the Steelers picked up in the draft: Derek Harmon, Caleb Johnson, Will Howard. I think one of the things that this has been a very interesting quarterback draft. And shout out to the people on TikTok. The CIA's in the house. What up, man? So that's what we got. That's what we got rolling. I appreciate everybody hopping in and checking it out. And thanks for tapping the screen on TikTok, Brandon. So we'll get into it. The draft was very, very odd to me. I thought, some of the people that they thought were going to go high didn't go high. I think, if you look at it as a whole, not just the Steelers as the NFL going forward, I feel like that, there's a lot of guys that have something to prove. When you look at it by position, when it comes to the draft, the two first round guys, Jackson Dart, Cam Ward being the number one overall pick. I'll be real interested to see how it. CIA. Hey, I've thought about that, and I think you'll be interested to hear what I have to say. As we go down the quarterbacks drafted, Cam Ward, obviously the number one overall pick. It's not any secret that was going to happen. I am really shocked the Giants slid back in. Oh, no doubt. I understand that. Jackson Dart, the Giants slid back in for him. I'm going to be interested to see how that whole thing appreciate it, Joe. Appreciate you. How that whole dynamic's going to turn out. You got Jameis, Russ, Jackson Dart. They got a lot of options. I think Brian Daboll and Joe Shane, I think they're on the hot seat, as some people would throw that out there. I don't know. The Mara family seems to be that they've had some patience and not had some patience, so we'll see. The Milrow in the third round is very interesting. I don't know if they just drafted Jalen Milrow that high to see if there's something there. Maybe use him like a wildcat or something like that. That's just something that the Seahawks did it. And then Tyler Shook, I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, that went to New Orleans. The kid from Louisville. The only thing I'll have to say on that is good luck because New Orleans, that's a tough. I think that's one of the tougher spots, and they didn't pick as high as what they thought in the draft. Appreciate the CIA hitting the likes on the TikTok there. And then we go to the Browns. Cleveland takes Dylan Gabriel. The Dylan Gabriel thing is, I don't know what Cleveland's doing with 5 quarterbacks. I'm assuming that's Deshaun Watson's going to be out for the year. That's the only thing I can think of. He'll probably go on IR and not play at all this year. And then there's another option. They got Flacco, small hands, Kenny Pickett, and Shedeur Sanders, the most talked about draft pick. If you watched the draft at all, you would have never known that Cam Ward was selected number 1 because all you seen was Shedeur. Some people like him, hate him. I'm going to take the position of, for some of these guys, let's see what they can do. Shedeur's going to have ample opportunity in camp, and he's going to have preseason games to, see if he can get that thing figured out. And then Philadelphia takes Kyle McCord. He's from that area. I'm not shocked by that. And with the Eagles coming off the Super Bowl win and everything that Howie Roseman's built in Philadelphia, maybe they see something that I don't see. Good for Kyle McCord to get drafted. And the Steelers take Will Howard in the 6th round. And my guy, Tyler Siskey, said this the night of the draft. If anybody watches Siskey and McCready, if they seen that show at the beginning, it might have been the draft night show or the show they did before that. He said there was going to be a run in the quarterbacks. And as soon as Shedeur came off the board, quarterbacks went flying off the board, because if you look at rounds 5 through 7, there's almost eight to 9 guys drafted. My guy Joe here with the question. Yeah, I get you on that. Joe. And Kyle McCord, he lit it up as far as statistics wise. He did have a big year throwing the football. He also threw a lot of interceptions. So I don't know if it's because he was almost throwing it 50 times a game. The law is that averages probably are not sitting in your favor when you're. I think he had one game where he threw it 60 times. So then we get to Riley Leonard going to Indianapolis. I don't know how. I'm really shocked that Riley Leonard got drafted at all. But the athleticism's there. I mean, the guy can run the shit out of the football. I'm telling you that much. I watched him all year when he was up at Notre Dame. He led him to a national championship, so that's got to count for something, in my opinion. And a guy that's kind of perplexing is that came off the board right after him is Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz had a little bit of a really, really strange college career, because I believe he started at Wisconsin and then went to Florida. Then he got hurt. So the Graham Mertz thing, interesting. Cam Miller out of South Dakota State. It's South Dakota State, and a lot of people want to bag on it, but Carson Wentz came from there, and Carson Wentz was a good quarterback for a period of time in the NFL, with the Eagles. So Cam Miller, a lot of these guys at the quarterback position, you got to see if they can play. And then Curtis Rourke, I believe Rourke was injured a lot last year. He had the thumb thing, and then some people said that he had a tore up knee. I don't know, but Curtis Rourke threw the ball really well at Indiana. He goes to San Francisco. I don't know what the Niners are going to do with the Brock Purdy thing. Because I know Purdy's going to probably ask for $50 million. That's somewhere to $30 to $50 million. In my opinion, I don't know what San Francisco is trying to do as far as going forward. It's kind of a rough go of things for them, because their roster's aged a little bit. They have some holes. They got rid of Deebo Samuel. So we'll see how San Francisco decides how they try to do it. I wouldn't be shocked if they put Purdy on the trading block, see if somebody that is a quote-unquote quarterback whisperer would like to maybe dabble in that. The Jets are always an option. Who knows who's running things up there. The Jets are a really, really interesting ran organization because they, all they have is really Justin Fields, and I don't know how Fields is going to fare up there. And then the last guy that got picked, I think it was surely just because he got injured. Talking with some people, I got a little more insight into the Quinn Ewers thing. I think that, going forward, Quinn obviously started at Ohio State, and then he went back home to Texas. And, you can't blame the kid for going home back to Texas. But as far as all the quarterbacks getting the option to see the field quickly, I would say Cam Ward, just going down the list here, Cam Ward's going to see the field probably day one. Jackson Dart, probably going to see the field this year. Although if it was up to me, I don't know if I would risk that. The Giants' offensive line's a little shaky. And I would the next quickest guy that comes to mind, if Purdy stays healthy, would maybe be Curtis Rourke, but that's a big stretch for me. But the next guy that would be that'll see the field is Quinn Ewers. I would say Quinn Ewers will see the field. It's not inevitable. It's no secret that you had Tua's got the concussion issues. I wouldn't be shocked 100% at all if you don't see Quinn Ewers out there playing along with Jackson Dart. And Miami could, with how creative Josh McDaniels' offense is, I wouldn't be shocked if Quinn Ewers doesn't do really well. Maybe the Tyreek Hill thing, I don't know how the bottom's going to fall out of that. That is going to be interesting, to say the least. But as far as quarterbacks, that's pretty much where it's at. And then the Will Howard thing, with the Steelers taking Will Howard late in the draft, which I'm surprised that he hung around that long. He was at Kansas State, won a Big 12 title, goes to Ohio State, wins a national championship. And yes, Joe, I agree with you, Ewers. And it's just for the simple fact of you got the Tua thing in there. And I think that Tua, who knows if he's going to stay healthy or not, but Will Howard, I think that he's better than what people think. Tough kid. He led Ohio State to the national championship and a pseudo playoff run, because now in college football, for the NFL people out there, they do have a playoff run. And I think Will Howard, post the Michigan game, played a lot better. I think there's no guarantee that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if Rodgers decides that he's just going to hang it up. That wouldn't be any shock at all for me on the Aaron Rodgers front. It's tough. The complete crash out by Mel Kiper was unbelievable about the Sanders kid. I think that a lot of the NFL teams took the name off the back of the jersey and just evaluated the kid, and he got what he got, and he was at where he was at. And they showed a clip, and there's a lot of speculation that they tried to say that the Browns are unhappy. But the problem you have is that when it comes to it, when push comes to shove on the Sanders kid, it's going to be tough when you have an entourage following your backup quarterback around. So that's something also to something also to look at. And then, maybe Curtis Rourke, but I'm not shocked that Pete Carroll took a quarterback. The Kyle McCord thing, he lit it up offensively. So that's just something that I was looking at. Dave's here's got something. One of my faves with McCord and Stroud, just perfect work at Ohio State, if you ask me. Well, I can't believe he didn't include Will Howard in there. So I think that that's something to be said about that. I think that was a mental block Ryan Day was having. I get it. The Michigan fans, they love Ryan Day. That's just something to get into, but that is where we're at on the quarterbacks. I think that Ewers, Dart, and Cam Ward will be the first three to see the field going forward. I don't know where the Aaron Rodgers thing is. That's still in limbo for the most part on the Steelers side of things. So Will Howard will be in there. Herrick D. Bailey. I don't on the DEI thing. That's I think ESPN was running their own propaganda machine, Eric. I think that Will Howard is one of the top guys in the draft. I would not be shocked if we look back at this draft and say Quinn Ewers is going to be a starter, Will Howard is going to be a starter, Jackson Dart and Cam Ward. But I think that oh no, here we go. But yeah, this is something. I don't know if I 100% agree with this. I think that there was a lot of things that were done in Colorado, which when the Colorado people see this, they're going to freak out. But I think there was a lot of things done in Colorado that were filmed and put out there, and they created a media monster. Dion and everybody created a media monster. So I don't necessarily think that it's something that goes along with it, but also what'll deter teams is that they don't want to have a backup quarterback on the bench with an entourage and a posse following you around with a camera and all that stuff. I mean, that was evident when we've seen the Tim Tebow stuff. So on the quarterback front, we can roll over to running backs. Ashton Jeanty goes to the Raiders. He's going to get used. I think he's one of the better backs in the draft. Quinshon Judkins going to the Browns. I thought a team that had a good draft was the Browns and the Patriots. Travion Henderson coming off the board to go to New England. I'm telling you, I think the people in New England will be real happy as long as he gets utilized correctly up there. Then Caleb Johnson going to the Steelers is a big get. I think it replaces the Najee Harris lack of production. All you got to do, kid, is score 6 touchdowns and you've tied Najee. And I think he's going to have a big year for LA being with Harbaugh, because Harbaugh is going to be pounding it up the middle no matter what. So, and a couple other guys that I had pointed out on previous shows, Cam Scattaboo, I think Daboll will be able to get him utilized correctly. I think Brian Daboll, the way it's been going up there, the roster hasn't been great. I think they'll be creative this year on offense. You got Russ, you got Russ, Jameis, and now Jackson Dart. Jackson can run a little bit, but I don't know how much you want to run him in the NFL. That's tend to not work out the greatest. So, and then Trevor Etienne, going to Carolina. I think Carolina had a sneaky good draft. So I think that Tepper let the football people make football decisions. And then Ollie Gordon rounding out some of the guys that were on my list. Ollie Gordon going in the 6th round, which a lot of people thought that he was going to be a Heisman hopeful. But Ollie Gordon going in the 6th round to the Dolphins, I think that adds another dynamic to their offense. I think that Ollie Gordon's a very underrated. He was a ton of hype coming into the year, and then Oklahoma State didn't have the year that they thought. But I think that Ollie Gordon, he's 6'1", 226, bigger guy. I think he'll be built and ready for the NFL. So that's something that, to keep an eyeball on. And we'll slide on over to the wide receivers here. The McMillan kid, but came off the board first. I think. Oh, here we go. It's popping off in the chat, but Emeka Egbuka going to Tampa Bay, I think is very interesting. I think Emeka should do well there, playing with Baker. It's gonna be a good fit for him. Luther Burton kind of slid a little bit, but I think it's because there was some questions there, and some of the guys that I thought, I didn't think that this was a super deep wide receiver class this year, as far as a plethora of talent. We can go over to the tight ends. The first tight end off the board, which I was shocked by this, and I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked. Colston Loveland, because he's more of a. I don't think Colston Loveland's going to block you into the stands, but I feel like he's a little bit better than Tyler Warren when it comes to maybe ball skills. So I think Colston Loveland, the Bears got themselves one. They got themselves one there. Tyler Warren, everybody's seen what Tyler Warren did this year. I don't think there's any shot ever on how Tyler Warren, won the Mackey. But a guy that I would like to skip to, and I think Mason Taylor is outstanding as well, goes to the Jets. His dad and uncle are NFL Hall of Famers, so that's some big shoes to fill. But Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green, the Browns took this kid, and this is either going to be one of those that aged well or whatever. But Harold Fannin Jr., I believe, is going to be an outstanding tight end in the NFL. Whether he can get on and make the team, he had one of the best statistical years by a tight end. And I get it, he played in the MAC, but he balled out against Penn State, and Penn State had one of the better defenses in the league, and he completely crushed everybody that he came up against. Technically, he should have won the Heisman, but the Mackey. So I don't think that that's something to turn your nose up at. Going down, Mitchell Evans went later than I thought. I thought he would have had a better chance to go higher, but Mitchell Evans, the dude is an absolute unit of a person. He's a big dude. 6'5", 260, could be a possible goal line for Carolina. Could be a safety valve for Bryce Young. So I think Carolina had a sneaky good draft. I think New England had a sneaky good draft. We're just rolling down the positions here. On the New England front, some of the guys that I really liked, there was a run of offensive linemen in the first round. 5 offensive linemen out of the first 32 picks. I mean, if that tell you something, the guys that play on the offensive line are vitally important. Will Campbell, first lineman off the board. I don't think Mike Vrabel would have taken him if he would have thought that he was not going to be the guy that they thought he was. Josh Simmons, another guy, he had the patella tendon injury out there at Oregon, Ohio State guy. And Pete Carroll takes Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. Charles Grant out of William and Mary, and Caleb Rogers out of Texas Tech. Back-to-back offensive linemen. So I think that they're on to something there. I believe these guys are classified as tackles. Calvin Banks Jr. goes to New Orleans. So I think that that's pretty good. And then the Booker kid from Alabama, first one off the board, goes to Dallas. I was really shocked Jerry went O-line here because we know he is taking it. And one of the guys that's going to be unsung in this draft, the Minnesota Vikings took Donovan Jackson. And he slid out and played tackle in the absence of Josh Simmons all year for Ohio State during the championship run. From Oregon on, he played tackle. So I think that that's something that needs to be noted out there for some people, because I think Donnie Jackson can play both, first round talent. So I mean, the amount of offensive linemen that were taken is kind of unbelievable to me. And then we go over to the defensive tackle side of things. You get Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, the top 2 Michigan defenders that were on this. First 2 guys off the board, absolute monsters. I'm not shocked that they got picked in the first round. Walter Nolan was another guy. Derek Harmon, Tyleik Williams. Those were guys that I thought were outstanding players in college. And I'm not saying just because I don't mention a guy that they're bad or whatever. I'm just saying, as in general, these were guys that I watched throughout the year and I just notated it and I liked their game. But another guy that came out later that Philly took, Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. I'm telling you, you're going to know who this kid is. The Philadelphia Eagles, I would not be shocked if they don't have the number 1 unit again in I think Kansas City had the number 1 unit, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's far and away that Philadelphia has the number 1 D-line in all of the NFL next year. But those were some of the guys that I thought stood out to me. I'll be interested to see, the Derek Harmon, see where he lines up and if he's getting some action for the Steelers. But a guy that, that had some issues was Walter Nolan down there at Texas A&M. It's not quite as kept, a big kept secret, but Walter Nolan, I think has just as much talent as anybody that was drafted. Walter Nolan for the Cardinals. Hopefully this works out for Arizona and Walter, because heck of a player at Ole Miss. And Notre Dame note, but Jack Kaiser taken by Jacksonville. So, shout out Jack Kaiser, Indiana guy. So, and then Cody Simon also taken by Arizona. So I think Arizona got them two great players out there on the edge. So that's just something to look at. Well, 2 linebackers, and then obviously we go to the edge players. I thought that this draft had a ton of edge guys that were valuable. Some of the Abdul Carter, the Williams kid out of Georgia, Shamar Stewart, James Pierce Jr., Donovan out of Boston College, JTT out of Ohio State, Nick Scorton, Texas A&M, Mike Green, former 4-star. A lot of people forget about that. So I think that Princely out of Ole Miss, he ends up going to Carolina. Jack Sawyer, being a Steeler, is outstanding. I think he's going to play the stand-up outside backer. I think that's a direct shot to TJ Watt, saying, if we can't get a contract, we're comfortable with letting you go because your replacement is standing in the room with you. So that is something that is rolling on. And then we'll go to corners real quick. We'll cut this show here soon. But obviously, Travis Hunter, Benjamin Morrison on a Notre Dame note, Will Johnson, all those guys went in the second round, but a lot of those guys were injured. Those were guys that I was kind of big on, but that's some of the NFL draft notes that I got. I know there is a playoff NBA game that has just started, so I'll leave this thing pretty short. I'll probably have Steel City will be back next week. The college football show will be back next week. So pretty much what I thought was good picks in the NFL draft. We'll have to see if that bears any fruit. But I think this quarterback group, everybody says it's bad. Well, we got to roll the balls out and let the guys play. So with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. And with that being said, we will get everybody out of here. Enjoy your Friday night.